I'm focused on the spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and the setup looks a little different because I could not find the little light that I usually use because I have a mobile sort of light and stand, and I took it to my sister's studio, and I know I brought it back with me, and I somewhere in the house I just could not find it before I went live. So I found another light. It's not as close, and it's kind of yellow. So it looks a little different, and I don't have the camera is sitting a little lower, so it looks a little different, but back in my my room studio. So talking about politics with y'all again. Hello. Today we're going to be talking about Pam Bondi and some comments that she's made that are upsetting a lot of folks on the right. I think she's kind of getting ahead of herself and saying things that are I would say kind of antithetical to our side of the aisle, as far as going after folks who are saying negative things about Charlie Kirk. No, I wholeheartedly agree with citizens deciding hey, we're protesting you. We are not going to buy your books. We're not going. You shouldn't teach our kids if you think I should die and their parents should die because they share similar views and like Charlie Kirk, that stuff. I'm going to get into more of my opinion on that. I haven't talked to you guys about my feelings about the mass firings and stuff. But Pam Bondi's going a little bit further because she is the Attorney General. So I think I don't know, it might be a little late to clean that up a bit. I don't see Trump firing or whatever, but we'll talk about that. Also, I saw the press conference today. They did officially announce charges for the killer of Charlie Kirk, and it's amazing because I watched USA Today streaming it on TikTok, and the comments coming from people were incredible. So we'll get into some of that, and a couple other things. There's some really hateful comments that Destiny said. I don't know if I want to play them. I'm more annoyed at people like Piers Morgan and whoever who keeps platforming Destiny. He has a large enough platform that people on the right or whatever don't need to have him on. I know Piers Morgan has this whole Jerry Springer politics thing going on in his show, but you keep being so appalled with all these people saying all these terrible things, then you just give him a microphone and allow more eyeballs to go to him. So anyway, we got quite a few things to talk about today. I don't want to go over on my time today. I do have some things planned today with my family, and it's a anniversary of my mom's passing. So I don't know how the whole night's going to be with especially with everybody together or whatever. I haven't cried today. Kind of got a little emotional a second ago, but I want to have some words about my mom, but so let me table that and just say my intro, finish my intro. If you guys like what I do here, you guys can go to blacktnews.com, check out different content, the website, articles, videos, etc. And if you like what I do here, you guys can leave a donation on the site because it does cost to stream, run my site, all that stuff. So you guys can support. I very much appreciate you guys. You guys can also check out different merch that I have available at the store. So go ahead and pick up some of the merch. I have mugs and the pumpkin spice season mug. Also have that in a t-shirt, so you guys can pick that up and other stuff as well. I have many books that you guys can check out, 18 altogether, soon to be 19, that you guys can check out and read, stuff for basically people of all ages. So go ahead and pick up that stuff. I got some good reads including, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. My sister Tina, who did the art for my bigger book, also did the cover the artwork on the cover for that book. So I encourage you guys to check out all that stuff. So I guess I did a step forward. I got my last proof from KDP Amazon the other day, and so it's ready to go. This is this is still the proof copy. I don't have a real author copy yet, but I'm going to very soon put a pre-order link on my website, as in my book website, which is ninjadustpublishing.com. I will just have a link, I guess, from Black Tea that will direct there for people who normally go to Black Tea. But my book website is ninjadustpublishing.com. So people will be able to pre-order the book from there. And you'll only be able to pre-order it from there for a while. Eventually, you should be able to pre-order it from Amazon and Barnes and Noble and other places, because I'm going through a distribution channel that should have wide distribution. And if you guys want to call bookstores and say, hey, I want to pick up this book, I think you guys should carry this book, that would be lovely. I will be trying to I'm interested in doing school signings and stuff, school visits. I've done that stuff in the past. I'm interested in doing signings and stuff, seeing if I can get in Barnes and Nobles or local bookstores and stuff. So trying to do some media. So I'll be, working that circuit. The thing that I 100% know that we're doing is that we're going to have an event in my sister's studio. So if you're in the Southeast Michigan, and you want to go to that information will be available, and you can, reserve or register a spot and buy a book that will be available for you to have signed and all that stuff. So I'll let you know. I should have that link up in maybe like a day or two. So you will be able to get paperback and hardback of Bigger here. So very, very excited about that. Today is the anniversary of my mom's passing, and it was obviously very hard. The hardest thing that my family's had to go through. My mom, we thought she was gonna live to like 100, because that's how long her mom lived. 102. Her grandma lived to like 100. So her dying so early for us was just a shock, and it was sudden. We really got through it with so much support from so many different people, so many prayers from different people, and just the strength and conviction of our faith, and the trust that we have in God, and the comfort that we have in our faith, and really developing a peace that passeth all understanding. And even in our grief, I appreciated that other people appreciated watching us go through our grief in a healthy way, because other people had experienced grief from loss in their families and they didn't handle it so well. So to see us all kind of working through it and working together really so flawlessly, as far as I guess really the siblings and stuff, it was just, for me, I was very on it, like, okay, I need to do the obituary, got to get this stuff together, we got to schedule this, we got to get the church. And I already told you guys a week or so ago, because people say, oh, Republicans don't care about you. I'm like, Republicans came in the clutch for me. One friend of mine, like, I met through Republican politics, saw it online, and this is the midst of me praying, like trying to figure out, like, God, what we're going to do about the church, because our church is too small and I don't know where else we can go right now, because this other church that we had in mind, we'd still probably have to pay for, and I don't know if we'd have to pay for it. I don't know if their board would have wanted us to pay for it. The pastors, my dad, are really tight, but it was too far from the cemetery, so we know what we were going to do. And then I got a call from a friend, and she's like, I'm going to talk to my pastor. I'm so sorry about what happened to your mom. I think so many people would want to honor her, so I want to see if our church will be available for you guys. And they didn't charge us a dime. And then they had people staff that day to help, like, work the equipment, like run like the picture video that we had. And the pastor was just there that day. and it was just really wonderful, how much love and support that we got. So people who say, "Oh, Republicans don't care about you," there's a lot of people who don't care about me. But like, if you're trying to just say demonize everybody, you just don't know these people. Like we're all people. That's what's so crazy. Like we disagree on things, we disagree on policy prescriptions, but we all value our family and friends, and maybe there's different degrees to which we value, I guess, a nuclear family, or the, kind of godly structure that's natural, or whatever our views of what family are. But we do share similar convictions, and it's just so weird to hear the other side just openly say and just believe that we don't have like any care for anyone else other than ourselves. It's so wild, and it's just blatantly not true. I just totally reject it. I'm so annoyed with this empathy talk and how they weaponize it. And like I said the other day, I had like just an epiphany, I guess, about how they just really weaponize and use empathy to attack and to control. And I'm done. I'm done. Uh, because in this case, them being so dedicated to, like, oh, well, they're hateful. They say such hateful things. It got Charlie Kirk murdered, and people are literally trying to pretend like it had nothing to do with ideology, or it was just a right wing person, or there's so much evidence. People are saying it doesn't matter. It's just bizarre. But anyway, people have been so kind. We're so kind. And my mom, I was thinking about something the other day, because I heard something about my mom that I just wanted to share that really speaks to her character. And my mom, she really believed in not having mess. She didn't want drama, she didn't want dysfunction. And if you had some kind of beef, like if I had a beef with a sibling or something, it was like, okay, the sun has gone down. She quote the scripture, "Don't let the sun go down on your wrath." So she'd be like, "Up, the sun went down. The sun went down. You gotta let go pray." She would not let us live in strife with one another. She was adamant about that in the house. One time, years ago, her and my dad had gotten into some kind of argument. And then this is the story my dad tells. And he was praying. He's like, "Lord, rebuke the devil in her, and you tell her this and that and that." And God was just like, "No, you rebuke the devil in you. Like, she's already over it. She's let it go. You're the one holding on to stuff." Like my mom, she would not let that kind of stuff really consume her. But what I had heard the other day that I did not know, my uncle Kenny, who he like knows all the family tea or whatever. Um, my mom would call him. They were pretty close when it came to her siblings, and she didn't have girlfriends to chit chat with, really. She didn't text. She just, in her, at the late stages of life, kind of learned to text, and had a friend that she would call. But she if she was gonna really, bare her soul to someone about drama or something, it would be my uncle. And he said that my mom never said a bad word about my dad. Never, ever, in all the years that they were married. And that's really incredible to me. Not that my dad is like a terrible person or something like that, but he's definitely done things where you could complain about. And we couldn't get my mom to really complain about my dad to us. They would not fight in front of us. Like way kind of late, with us being super grown and whatever, we would hear her fuss more often, a bit, fuss at him for like doing something silly or whatever, um, or hard headed or something. But when we were young, we never saw them fight, or that, like, they handled their disagreements in private. And if we had an issue with our dad that we wanted her to take our side on, she'd just be like, "Let me," she would take that up with him in private. Like, she was not gonna really be arguing with us against him or something. Like, even though we were grown, she still had that boundary of, "You guys are our kids, and we're gonna protect you from, the that sort of dysfunction." So it was just really something that even in her private family time, just gabbing on the phone with her brother, that she still like never spoke a negative word about my dad. And I just know that's not a lot of people's testimonies. I'm not married, so I don't have a spouse I could, trash behind their back at times if I'm frustrated. But she was just a really great woman, and I wish you guys could know her. And I wish I had more time with her, but she really instilled a lot of powerful values in us. And my dad, he doesn't he's not the pastor of our church anymore. My brother is, but people look at him, he's loud, not loud, but he's talkative and very outgoing, and you see him on the pulpit like spreading values and messages and so on. And so I think a lot of people would think that you get it from him, and not that he didn't play a vital role, a crucial role, but my mom was just a silent force who just really led by example. Not that she didn't fuss or raise her voice or stuff. You could really get her going about some stuff. Oh gosh, if he talked about adultery, she would just go on and on and on. That was like the most terrible sin to her. She was really different. People are like, "Oh, your mom's so sweet and quiet." But she loved like horror movies, disaster movies. She said that people watch Godzilla to watch him squish people, and I'm like, did they even show that on my Godzilla -1? They did, that they showed some brutal stuff with Godzilla like killing people and stuff. But you know, she liked all that stuff, and she really protected us, our innocence. She didn't keep us naive though. She let us know about the world, and that there are dangerous people out there who would abuse and harm people and innocents and children and stuff. And so we weren't naive, but she protected our innocence. Like we were talking about TV shows and how they'll show stuff, and I said, I still hear, close your eyes, close your eyes. It's just like ingrained in me. Like, so I don't watch that kind of stuff, and I don't write like sex scenes or anything. I will write like fade to black, like if it's a couple or something, and usually marry guys. And it'll fade to black or whatever, but I'm not writing like they say spies or whatever in the book talk world. um you know she or sometimes there are like movies we didn't know had certain scenes in them, because she would record them on TV, and she would like back in the days of VCRs and stuff, you would just record stuff on the tape. And then if there was some kind of naughty scene or something, she would like stop the tape and then resume recording later. So some things were like, this scene wasn't in there before. It's like, no, you just never saw the real version. You saw the Mama Isabel version. So she was really special. So I'm okay. I'm okay. I mean, my world will always be different. And it hasn't been an easy year for sure. But I do thank you guys, because I know you guys have been kind and caring and thoughtful and prayerful. And despite what some folks on the left might say, the power of prayer does really work. So anyway, thank you guys for everything. And I'll keep I mean, she's up in heaven getting the rest that she deserves. And we still got to deal with the stuff down here. But I'll just keep working. I know she was so proud. The last she loved going to the movies and stuff, and the last movie she saw with us was Am I Racist? we saw a special screening of Am I Racist? Not Ben Shapiro, but I can't remember his last name, but Ben, he was the person who was paid reparations in the movie. He worked with Matt. He was there at the screening, and so he I got to interview him. If you guys haven't seen that interview, it's up on the socials. And he had such just wonderful compliments for my mom, just because how you could tell how well raised we were. And so he just had so many good compliments, and my mom was so proud. She was so proud. So I've been trying to just push forward with black tea in my writing and other things, and sometimes it was hard, and times, I just had to really go push forward, even though really I just kind of lacked passion. But I'm like, mom will want us to keep going. So um I'm so grateful. Like the Brighter Michigan Pack put that on. Oh gosh. There I go. Um those tears came fast. They're kind of warm. They don't feel bad. um for putting on that event, and because she was just everybody was saying such nice things, and um they're my parents are just very, prideful about their kids, not in like a sinful kind of way, but just like they we bring them joy. And I always appreciated being able to see that on their faces, because I know a lot of parents don't care about their kids at all. So we're gonna keep moving forward. We're gonna keep moving forward. So um let's talk about the news. So I watched the press conference today, and for any leftists who are holding out on hope that this person was not a left-wing person, it's revealed he's left-wing. And so apparently when they started releasing the video, not video footage, but the different images, the mom was like, oh no, that looks like my son. And she talked to her husband, and they're like, that looks like him. And when there were pictures of the rifle, I guess the rifle is kind of particular, and they're like, that looks like grandpa's rifle. And so again, for all you gun control nuts, this was a rifle, a single shot. So not like something you just keep pew 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 pewing or whatever. Barrel action firearm that did not even belong to him. It was his grandpa's gun. So people who want to turn the Charlie Kirk situation into a mass like conversation on gun control, what gun law would have prevented this from happening besides stripping the Second Amendment and confiscating all the guns? And I do mean like confiscating them all, which I think is the goal for a lot of folks, but they don't want to say because that sounds bonkers to a lot of people. And I don't know, there's a lot of people who call for gun control and they don't realize what happens already in the background check. They think you can just order one off of Walmart.com and it just comes to your door or something in like 2 business days. That's not what happens. I've seen Steven Crowder able to convert a lot of people on the gun issue by just telling them to go purchase a firearm online, and then they see how much you have to do to actually get one, and they're like, oh. Or the logo shooting, he'll take people shooting, and they're like, this isn't as scary as I thought. So he took his grandpa's gun, and there's text messages to him and his lover, and they read some of those like messages, and he was like calling him my sweet, my love. I don't know if it was my sweet. It was like stuff like that, like referring, like I'm worried about you, my love, stuff like that. So people who had questions about was he dating someone who was transitioning? Yeah, they were living together, kissing each other, saying affectionate, real gay stuff to each other. So they're an item. They're an item. His family said that he was growing more political, more into the transgender ideology stuff, LGBT stuff. It's what his family said. There was an interview with his grandma that the media is trying to attach itself to. So tough. And like, well, the grandma said that everybody in the family is Republicans. And okay, well, she didn't talk to her grandson about his politics. You think you want to talk to your MAGA grandmother about how you're porking a dude who thinks he's a chick? The grandma also said that she didn't know that he could shoot. So grandma's out of the loop, guys. But they're trying so tough to pretend like this guy's is on the right. Well, he's not. There's a lot of leftists who come from Republican MAGA backgrounds who rebel. Like, come on. Come on. But anyway, they're really, really trying to pretend like this guy's on the right. And then they'll go to what does it matter? Like, that's the next phase. I mean, already seeing the phase of what doesn't matter, who cares what he believes. But there's an alarming amount of people who are still insisting that he's not left wing. So I was watching this press conference on TikTok on the feed of USA Today. And so there was all these comments just popping up so quick that I'm like reading as I'm listening. And there's people who are saying like, oh, they're lying on this guy. Oh, is that how it's going to be? Oh, they're lying. He's right wing. They're lying. They're lying. And there's a lot of people claiming that he was a groper. And if I'm saying that right, but Nick Fuentes is like far right people, their group. And that's not the case. Like, catch this fascist singing, like having the lyrics of a song that, Antifa folks sing. There was somebody who showed up at a Charlie Kirk vigil and was reading that Che Bella song, whatever. They're going to pretend that that's not one of them. They love what he did, but they can't take accountability. Like, again, like, his ideology aside, what is wrong with all these people who are cheering it on, very happy? And I don't know, even like some of the questions, like the media during the Q&A still asking, like, I don't know, to see if there's some kind of wiggle room around it. And then asking questions about, like, because I guess they're seeking the death penalty. Like, oh, did you talk to the White House about it? And he's just like, prosecutor said, I mean, I've talked to them, not about this specific thing. I mean, it's kind of obvious what they kind of thoughts they might have from them making public statements, but no. And they're like, well, what about the wife? Did you talk to the wife about it? And he's just like, I can't like answer all these questions. I kept asking things that he obviously couldn't answer. And they're like, well, why did you say all this information? Like, is it normal to say all this, this political motivation when you're doing a murder trial? And they're like, we have a code that we can charge him with, that we're charging him under. So all of this stuff that I'm telling you guys is going to be filed in the public document. So, I was annoyed with the reporters. Like, I know they're trying to get info, but you have to understand that people ask questions. They're leading questions because they're trying to build their story. They're trying to build their narrative. Some people are just fact-finding, but a lot of these folks are trying to get the tidbits that they want so they can craft the story in whatever way that they want it to go. I mean, how many times you watch a debate or you listen to a debate online and you hear someone asking a question because they're leading them into like a gotcha moment or whatever, like they're setting them up to debunk them or whatever. Like, it's so, that's what some journalists are doing, is they're leading up to a particular narrative to try to get the kind of story that they want. But it's undeniable that it ought to be to like sane people that this guy is indoctrinated with left-wing ideology, LGBT stuff. And he kept talking about he was so hateful. He's so hateful. So he told his family he was so hateful. After he killed Charlie Kirk, he told his boyfriend that I couldn't take it anymore. He was just so hateful. He was so hateful. And I wrote an article a couple days ago and about how they cheered for Charlie Kirk dying. They'll cheer for you. And I just wrote a little like headline, something to like describe relating to the article. I think it's a portion that's in the article, but about how, people say you're hateful if you say that, you believe in traditional marriage and that a man can't be a woman. And someone's like, well, that's not the only thing that Charlie Kirk said. You're just gaslighting. And I'm like, what do you think that the gay man who was dating a man who claims to be a girl, what do you think that they found particularly hateful? I'm not saying that they don't think other things that he said were hateful, but don't you think that it probably has a lot to do with the trans stuff? And what's like bizarre about all this stuff? I'm like, Charlie Kirk. A lot of people are just blown away with all this stuff because they're like, Charlie Kirk was so, you could say mainstream. A lot of people are saying moderate. I am more to the right than Charlie Kirk. I am more to the right than Charlie Kirk on abortion, on we have the same view as like marriage and I assume we do and like this LGBT stuff, but I like would not be intermingling it with like the headliner stuff. Like if I was doing turning point stuff, I wouldn't have that much incorporation that he's having. I think I'm glad to have all these people voting. I'm glad that we have similar values, but I at the same time, there's certain, I think you got to gatekeep a little bit, and there's some certain things I wouldn't want elevated. So he's just, you know, he's more moderate than I am. You know, so a lot of people are. I saw a video. Someone said in 2024, I learned how many people would cheer if the president was killed. In 2025, I learned how many people would cheer if I were killed. And that's what it is. Like we all understand that these people, it's that photo of Donald Trump when he's sitting in the chair and he's like, they're not after me, they're after you. I'm just in the way. I've always known that to be true. I've always felt that in my core. It's a little more real than it was before, but I've always known that to be true. And even like back in 2017 or whatever, during Trump's first term, when Mike Pence was president, I mean not Mike Pence, when Trump was president and Mike Pence was the vice president, I saw people make comments like, oh, even though they wanted to impeach Trump or get rid of Trump, there were a lot of people who felt like, we can't get rid of Trump though, because then we'll have Mike Pence. And he really believes this stuff. Like they don't like Trump because he won. He showed them up. He was supposed to be a joke, and he won. And so they've never gotten over that. And he's really blunt about a lot of stuff, sure. And he does say offensive things. I understand why a lot of people don't like him. But they really, really didn't like Mike Pence. And the only time they respected Mike Pence was when Mike Pence said that he wouldn't have certified like the election the way that Donald Trump wanted him to do. And he just, he wouldn't do the alternate slate. He wouldn't pause it, delay it for a week. Like he went ahead and he's like, I don't think you by the laws that you can do this. And, Trump was mad. A lot of people were very mad and he was getting all kinds of threats and so on. But he went ahead and did it. And so people have a newfound strange respect for Mike Pence, but they hate his guts. They hate his guts. So I just know they'd hate me more than all those folks. Like people are mad at Mike Pence because of his like rule about like you shouldn't go out with like other women, like be alone with a woman. And people, I don't know, they thought it was misogynistic or whatever. And that was right before the Me Too movement broke. It was very interesting. But they hated him. But they would hate me. They would, oh my gosh, they would hate me. They're I mean, I know a lot of people already do hate me. I just don't have that kind of platform that Charlie has. And people are like, oh yeah, and Milo's coming out of retirement now. I caution people from like getting back into that alt-right stuff. I just that is like the opposite, like far end of like stuff where our people do not need to go. Like people were like Charlie Kirk and stuff, and that sort of um event is the right way. Going like to Milo, not that I listened to some, Milo lectures and stuff, and there was some fun kind of stuff going on. But guys, did we not grow up and out of it? Like, he can stay in retirement for all I care. But I just don't think people should go flocking to the likes of Milo. But these folks doing this whataboutism stuff and claiming that they're setting things up. They caught the wrong guy, that he's a patsy, or that he's not actually a leftist. Just get over it, guys. It's not true. So anyway, I want to talk about people who are losing their jobs because of all this stuff. Because I haven't like flat out told you guys where I stand on it. And my stance is, if it were me and my kid was in school and I found out that the teacher said that kind of stuff, I wouldn't want the teacher teaching there. This isn't just like, I don't know, some meme that they dug up in your private email, like from 6 years ago. You've really crossed a line when you're celebrating someone being murdered for speech. You've really crossed a line. And on top of that, it just really shows how demoralized the society is, I guess, as a whole, but how that person is. It shows such incredible poor judgment that you can't read the room, and that you do that on your public socials. So I've seen so many lawyers who've been contacted like online from different people, like, can I be fired for what I'm saying? And all of them are like, you guys are stupid. They're like, but I said it on my private, social media page. You don't have a private social media page. Do you know what social media is? So these lawyers are just like, in the most polite ways, they're just like, you're an idiot and you deserve it. I don't even know the political stance of all these lawyers, but they're like, the First Amendment is about the government limiting your free speech. Your employer is not entitled to pay you, especially if you're going to cost them business. Especially if you're going to cost them business. So if you were a teacher saying that stuff, if I were a parent, forget it. I don't need to be a parent. I don't want you brainwashing the kids. I don't want that sort of indoctrination with the kids. But if I were a parent, I certainly wouldn't want you teaching the kids. So yeah, I would want you to be fired. I'm just being for real with you guys. I would want you fired. If you were a nurse and you were celebrating someone being murdered, there was a nurse I saw last night online, and she was like crying a bit. She was very emotional, just apologizing on behalf of her profession, because she personally heard so many people saying so many terrible things. She heard a nurse say that if she had to take care of Charlie Kirk, she would have forgotten how to do her job, just to let him die. If there are people who are nurses, doctors, saying that stuff online, don't you think that reflects poorly on the hospital? Like, if something happens in the future to someone who's a Republican or something, and they knew it, they were Republican, don't you think that kind of opens the door for possible like wrongful death, like malpractice lawsuits and other things like that? Don't you think that's an issue? Someone said there was a youth pastor celebrating. I didn't see. I saw a snippet of that. I've seen a lot of people talking about it, but apparently the church is woke, and I don't know if they're going to let her go. But that's crazy too. That is so ungodly. That is so unchristian. That's immediate. You need to be sat down and go to the altar and pray. She needs correction. And if that church doesn't give correction and a rebuke, and I would dare say a public rebuke, A lot of things you handle in private, she did that thing publicly, rebuke her. I'm not saying like they got to do it on social media or whatever. Maybe like put out a statement. But in the church or something, you could publicly rebuke her. Or just you let the congregation know she had to be sat down. That's crazy. That is so ungodly, man. So yeah, teachers, firefighters, psychiatrists, HR people. I'm not surprised that some of these people are that crazy, but it is a little jarring, just like how bad the judgment is with these people. If it comes to like, I think some professions it's a bigger deal than others. Like if you're I don't know, a purple haired barista, maybe it's not as big of a concern for how you are influencing the rest of society. But at the same time, if you're like a business owner or something, I wouldn't want my business to go to you. So I would want to know all these people putting these folks on blast. I would want to know, not because I want people harassing you, like going to your house or something like that and making you feel unsafe. Not that, which I imagine if you get like a lot of outrage from people that I don't know how you kind of get around not feeling safe, I guess. But I would want to know. I don't want to do business with you. I could do business with people I disagree with. I could like I don't remember if I mentioned this yesterday, but I did a TikTok video. I'm like, I don't think people should be one-starring authors' books. Like you could separate people's art, you know? You don't need, if you didn't read it, you don't need to leave a review for it just because you're angry. You can blast them on social media. You can burn your books. You can sell them. So I've seen people sell them and donate the money to Turning Point USA. I'm not against contacting the publisher and like, is this the kind of stuff that you guys are okay with? Because what's amazing is that so many of these people, like if you're like totally independent and you could do everything yourself and you don't depend on anybody else, maybe your bread and butter is influencer social media stuff and you get money from clicks and views, you know, and maybe it's not a big deal if you say something crazy because people are interacting with your content. But if you work for somebody and you represent that company, or you're an author, maybe you've made so much money you don't care and you're the bestsellers list and been on the bestsellers list or whatever, but you know that's like a poor reflection. It's going to affect the bookstores, it's going to affect your publishers, and perhaps if people like decide they're going to boycott, like Emily Rass, or there's another author who wrote My Sister's Keeper. She's crazy. Like what if people are just like, I'm going to boycott all the books until you guys drop them? Like it affects so many different people. So that is why it's so wild that all these people just did this stuff online and out in the open, not thinking there's going to be any kind of repercussions. So I don't know. You can say, well, I thought we were against cancel culture. People who bring that up, you have to put cancel culture in context. Like for example, what's that rodeo clown that made fun of Obama or something? They like bullied him and got him fired or something, or like a rodeo clown. That's crazy. Or that Nick Sandman kid who was just smiling in front of like a Native American man, and everyone was like, he has a punchable face, and they decided to make this kid like the enemy of the world, and he was literally just standing there smiling, and they tried to cancel that kid. Like that's crazy. Gina Carano, what happened to her was, you know, that's canceling. And not just that she got fired, that's Disney's prerogative or whatever, but they also like slandered her out the door. So that was messed up. They came to a settlement not too long ago. But I'll tell you what's cancellation. A good example, Roseanne Barr got canceled from her own show where she's a star. It's called Roseanne. They fired her. And then they killed her character off. I'm pretty sure they killed her by like a drug prescription overdose. So she became a Trumper. They fired her in real life. And then they made her character like some kind of secret drug addict or whatever that died from prescription pills. That's how they took her character out. And why did they cancel her? Okay. They canceled her because they said Valerie Jarrett, who worked for the Obama administration, she made a joke about her looking like someone from Planet of the Apes. And she says that she didn't know that she was black. You say black people look like monkeys, they're like that's racist or whatever. By the way, there's lots of people kind of look like monkeys who are not black or whatever, but so they immediately like, oh, we got to get rid of her. And they got rid of her and they fired her from her own show. She got canceled so hard for that. That if you've seen Planet of the Apes, or if you haven't, there's a particular character. I immediately knew who she was talking about. For reasons I'm not going to say. But should be obvious. I just knew immediately when she made the reference, I knew what character she was talking about. So she got fired for that. That's cancel culture. Like ruining people's lives. Someone was there some kid who got into like Harvard or something and they discovered that he said the N-word or something or some like racial stuff maybe a couple years ago, and he like they like revoked it or something, like stuff like that. Cheering on someone who's been politically assassinated, that's a line that's been crossed. That's a line that's been crossed. So I when people bring up cancel culture, I think what's happening now is very different. I think it's very, very different. So I don't think that I don't want people harassing folks and like going, tracking down where they live, posting where they live. That's crazy. Don't do that. Don't dox people. That's not legal and it's not right. It's not ethical. Don't be creepy. Don't be dangerous. Okay. But again, I wouldn't want to do business with them. Eric July some time ago said something and I've lived by it or tried to have. And he said, don't give more than half of your money to people who hate you. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't watched like Marvel stuff. I haven't like brought their comics. I haven't really watched their movies because I'm like, I know like this company like hates my values. And I have seen like, a DC movie here or there. We haven't bought books in a long time. DC Comics had to fire one of their writers. I think he was trans. And he said something, like celebrating it. I don't know all the details off the top of my head, but there's articles about it. We haven't talked about it, but he was writing a Red Hood series and they pulled the book. They fired them. They pulled the book, told stores like, just send them back. Like, we'll give you your money back for them. They just burned that like instantly because they had enough sense to know we got to nip this in the bud before anyone else like spreads and it reflects poorly on us. But I know they're woke. I don't know if they're bad. I don't know if they're as bad as Marvel as far as their wokeness, but they're both the major companies are bad. That's why Eric July was like, I'm gonna do my own thing. God bless him, go out there, make your bag. But Emily Rath, I just saw someone reply to one of her videos, and she might have taken it down by now, but she was complaining because all these authors who said like negative things about Charlie Kirk, like celebrating his death or retweeting stuff or, about his death or what in a positive sort of way. There's a list going around of all these authors and they're burning their books and selling them or whatever. And so Emily Rath decided to comment and she's like, this is so scary being on this right-wing list. And this is so dangerous. It made it seem like weird. I don't know, the dangerous people are going to go out and just like hurt authors for if they're on this list. No, people don't want to buy your books. People don't want to support your books. And she complained about people like reaching out to the publishers. It costs nothing to just keep your mouth shut. It costs nothing to keep your mouth shut. And now she's trying to spin it like, I don't know, like we're the bad guys for making lists or whatever. I would want to know if you would cheer for me being assassinated. I don't want to buy your book. Or I might feel like burning your book or ripping it up at that point. Some people are like, well, I already have them. I'm going to keep reading them because I really enjoyed them. I don't think I could personally still like enjoy the stories a bit. Like I'd be okay with letting it go. But that's just me. That's just me. Anyway, there was someone saying oh the right wing, they're doing cancel culture. And they themselves Crystal Ball said something about cancel culture. So I want to play this video. I'm going to read you their tweet. I'm going to play this video that people have provided in the comments. The policing of everyone's thoughts and emotions around Charlie Kirk's death is wild. Cancel culture on steroids, backed by the full force of the government. Now, the government shouldn't be getting involved with the cancel culture stuff. There was like Pete Hegseth coming after like a service member, and he was like, I think it was in uniform or some kind of account that was connected to the military. You cannot do that stuff because you represent the United States government and military and all that stuff. So you cannot do that. So being relieved of duty for like misconduct, they have full authority to do that. But other than that, like Pam Bondi saying, talking about hate speech and stuff, we don't need the government getting involved. Like, if people can decide through the court of public opinion in the marketplace whether they want to fool with you, whether they want you to teach their kids and stuff. We can decide that together. And your employer, if they just see the stuff that you publicly said, just showing it to the employer, like, look, this is what they said, the employer there can make the decision about whether or not they're going to keep them. Okay, I'm not saying the government should do anything else other than that. I'm not advocating for. But it's funny that she's like, cancel culture is bad. Cancel culture is bad. Here's this video.
It's like, I don't know how many of you guys watched the Jubilee episode with Mehdi, where you see these guys who come out and just be like, yeah, I'm a fascist. Dude who got ultimately fired from his job. Good. Dude who got ultimately fired from his job. Good. Dude who got ultimately fired from his job. Good.
I mean, we need to bring back shame. We need to bring back shame. We need to bring back bullying. We need to bring back ass whoopings. We need to bring back ass whoopings. We need to bring back ass whoopings. We need to bring back, when somebody crosses a bright red line society, they need to fucking know that they crossed that bright red line society. So when this motherfucker got fired, the answer is fuck yeah. So when this motherfucker got fired, the answer is fuck yeah. So when this motherfucker got fired, the answer is fuck yeah. So when this motherfucker got fired, the answer is fuck yeah. Get fired. Get fucked. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Get fired. Get fucked.
Okay, so obviously they're just repeating a lot of the stuff to just reiterate that this is the stuff that they said. So the hypocrisy from these people is just unreal. So I'm not playing their games. I never played their games before, but people should not tolerate them trying to do this whataboutism or trying to shame Republicans for this stuff. They use these weapons on us. And again, this is not the same as what they did to Roseanne Barr, to Gina Carano. It's not the same as what they did to Chris Harrison from The Bachelor. He said, let's have grace for one of the contestants because she got kind of caught up in, I think she was at a party at like a plantation or a house or something like that. And he said, let's have grace for her. And Rachel Lindsay like helped to get him kicked off The Bachelor when he was like the face of The Bachelor. That's cancel culture. That's cancel culture. But there's something deeply wrong with you to do this. And this is a bright red line, if I've ever seen one. And it's so obvious, and they know they should know better. They cannot be this crazy. They cannot be this crazy. Also, you had someone from the Washington Post, Karen Attiah, who had got fired And they're like, oh, she got fired for just, quoting Charlie Kirk. And then she did this like impromptu photo shoot, I guess, after she got fired from the Washington Post. And she's like, my work will continue. This person is crazy. And she also like retweeted, like pro-violent stuff after October the 7th, she's it's crazy how long they've employed these radical people. And I'm glad, I guess, that it was the Charlie Kirk stuff that finally took her out, but they should have did it sooner. They should have done it sooner. But what she claimed, and a lot of people have been claiming this, that Charlie Kirk said that Black women don't have the brain capacity to be employed or something like that, or do their jobs. And it's not true. Now, I think she like saw a caption and she just quoted the caption instead of actually listening to what Charlie Kirk said. But you are a journalist. You work at a newspaper, and he was just murdered. How hard is it to listen to a clip, to find the full context? He has all these podcast episodes that are available that you can just go and find the stuff. But you trust some clipped up caption crap on X or wherever you saw it, and you're a freaking journalist. You work for one of the most prestigious papers in the country. You tarnish your reputation, but it's not just your reputation on the line. When you're a journalist, your words matter. So anyway, what Charlie Kirk actually said, let me just play it for you. I can't be on too much longer, guys. We'll go through the Pam Bondi stuff real quick. But here's Charlie Kirk, what he actually said. The claim is that Black women do not have the brain processing power to be taken seriously. That's the claim. That's the claim. Like, I was just quoting Charlie Kirk's own words. Here's what he said.
Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called the racist. But now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. They're coming out and they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative action. Yeah, we know. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to go steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. Play cut 52.
But I rise today as a clear recipient of affirmative action, particularly in higher education. I may have been admitted on affirmative action, both in terms of being a woman and a woman of color, but I can declare that I did not graduate on affirmative action. This is my personal story.
I hear because of action affirmative. She can't even say that. We know. It's very obvious to us that you were not smart enough to be able to get in on your own. I couldn't make it on my own, so I needed to take opportunities from someone more deserving. You know, this is how arrogant Joy Reid and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee are. They're so narcissistic, they think this is persuasive. They think we're like, oh, of course. That's why we need affirmative action, because you have impressed us with your brilliance. Of course. Oh no, imagine the world without Joy Reid. Imagine the world without Sheila Jackson Lee or Michelle Obama or Ketanji Brown Jackson. They think this is persuasive. They think, as they kind of now reveal that I'm only here because of anti-white, anti-Asian forced discrimination policies. That turned me into a bitter, resentful activist that hates white people, honestly, through our politics.
Yeah, so and then this person said Black women, quoted it, and post the video with the evidence where he didn't say Black women. He was talking about 4 specific women. 4 specific women. So you just, is this person, what race are they? I'm not sure. He's talking about 4 specific women. Ketanji Brown Jackson has not dazzled me with her intelligence. She hasn't. Joe Biden, people get so, it's funny when people point out, like, he said that they were DEI hires. Even if he did, I thought you liked DEI. Why are you offended? Why are you offended? I thought you liked DEI. So there's something offensive about being known as a DEI hire, huh? I thought it was a good thing. It's not something to be proud of. You think it diminishes their accomplishments, which is funny because that was actually the context of Charlie Kirk talking about the black pilot situation, is how DEI actually conditions people to see things through a racialized lens and diminish people's achievements. How it actually is against a meritocracy, and it's also training people to assume that people are there in that position because they got that handicap rather than them being qualified. So that's the issue. You're offended when people are called a DEI hire for a reason. But Ketanji Brown Jackson, the president of the United States, Joe Biden, literally wanted to pick a black woman. She wouldn't have that job if she were white. She wouldn't have that job if she were white. And she can't even have the courage to say what a woman is. Like, I'm not impressed with Ketanji Brown Jackson. I've listened to her opinions and read some of them. I'm not impressed. She did not dazzle me. Sheila Brown Jackson, not dazzled by her. I'm certainly not impressed by Joy Racist Reed. No way. No way. She says the dumbest, craziest stuff. And I don't know how much is just her being nuts or her just trying to appeal to the people at MSNBC. I don't know. The most impressive of the group that he named was actually Michelle Obama, but I don't like her and I have zero respect for her. Does that make me racist? Does that make me a race traitor? Does it make me Uncle Tom, a coon, or whatever? Because I don't like those 4 individual black people. I'm not impressed by them. Someone had actually challenged me and was like, because they thought that Charlie Kirk was a racist. And this isn't like an online person, it was a person in real life. And they said that they don't like the way that he addresses like this affirmative action stuff. And I'm like, okay, but when people say that I got where I am because of affirmative action, what other conclusion is Charlie and these other people supposed to come to? Like, you wouldn't have that spot if not for it being especially reserved and like, ghetto rigged or jerry rigged or whatever. You have this handicap or whatever to get in, and that spot perhaps would have gone to someone of another ethnicity. Like, what other conclusion is he supposed to come to other than you're taking somebody else's spot? And maybe you could say it's a good thing because you want more diversity or whatever, but if it's at the expense of someone else, isn't that a little racist? But he didn't say black women. He had a gripe with 4 specific black women. So that's so disrespectful. Like, do not group me in. He wasn't talking about me. He wasn't insulting me. I think Charlie Kirk would be pretty impressed by my brain power, actually. But I'm not impressed by those women at all. But let me address Pam Bondi really quick and some of the stuff that she was saying. So Pam Bondi, she talked about I'm not seeing it saved. Hold on. Hate speech and other things, and she's in a bit of hot water with the right. And this is funny. I'm helping. That's Pam Bondi right now. Her mentioning hate speech or saying that she's going to use the government. Folks should be fired. It's not cool. I think people said that she was like kind of taken out of context a bit with some of the stuff, but I hate using a bulwark tweet, but here we go.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people, so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
That's a no-go. I'm sorry. And I saw Ben Shapiro, Michael Knowles, and Matt Walsh were talking about this. They hosted the Charlie Kirk show today, and we don't have to use our language. If they're doing something that's already illegal, you don't have to go put in the hate speech category, because again, Charlie Kirk was killed by someone who considered what he said to be hateful. So how do you categorize what is the hate speech? If someone is inciting people to violence or something like that, there's already laws against that, and you can go after people and prosecute, against that. But that's gonna be turned on folks. But I'm not surprised that she's not quite as principled as everybody else, because she bragged about red flag laws and things like that. Pam Bondi was one of the there's a lot of picks that Trump had for his cabinet that I wasn't crazy about, and people felt more confident about her being more qualified to do the job than other people in other positions. But people had reservations about Pam Bondi because of where she stood on some other things, and I wasn't crazy about Pam Bondi, like as far as like qualifications and stuff to do the job. But just because you're good on paper doesn't mean that you're gonna execute well. And she botched the Epstein thing, the rollout with the binders. That was really embarrassing. So I think she's doing some things to damage the brand of the White House, I guess. And I don't think that I think she's a step up for Matt Gaetz, and I didn't want Matt Gaetz to get that role, but someone else who was I guess in the talks for that role was DeSantis. I'm not saying DeSantis would have took it, but that was a name that was being considered, I guess. And there was a lot of Trump people within his circle that were just dead set against it. Like, they still have issues with DeSantis. So I don't think he should have left his job as being the governor to be the attorney general, but she's got to clean this stuff up.
That's horrific. It's free speech, but you shouldn't be employed anywhere if you're going to say that. And employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people. You need to look at people who are saying horrible things, and they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that. I have Harmeet Dillon right now in our civil rights unit looking at that immediately, that Office Depot had done that. We're looking at that. But Sean,
Office Depot, they got rid of that person who did that. That happened in Michigan. It was like the west side of the state. It was like in Portage, I think. They were some rough looking leftist weirdos, man, working at the store, and they just would not print something for a vigil, and they got in trouble for it. At least fired one of them. They probably should have fired all of them. And they quickly made a statement about it, got rid of them, and to then say, well, we're going to look after going them for civil rights stuff. We don't want to bake their cakes. They don't have to print the stuff, but that was an employee not acting on behalf of their employer, and their employer got rid of them, and that was the right thing. We don't need Pam Bondi going on the warpath for all this stuff. There's like other stuff to do. There's so many other stuff to do. Like, to me, I mean, I would be surprised if there's not more prosecutions from folks involved with the Charlie Kirk shooting. If not people planning it, people knowing maybe some stuff in advance and not acting. Y'all better focus on. I know there's people doing stuff locally, and they're still kind of building their case and investigating on a federal level. Y'all better handle this right now. But going after someone who wouldn't print a poster, I think freedom of association is an important thing. So if Office Depot decided that they themselves didn't want to print it, and it wasn't actually the employees, and it was the business who didn't want to print it. People can decide to not use that company anymore for stuff, and we can decide that with our dollars. But I think she's going too far with the stuff, in my opinion. But people deciding to boycott and not purchase stuff and let other readers know that these authors did terrible things. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I'm fine with that. I don't think that's, if you want to call it cancel culture, it's not like, it's like way justified compared to other examples that I named and other things that you guys can probably bring up yourselves. But Pam Bondi, you are bringing it to a different level that distracts from, I think, the righteousness of what everybody else is doing. Just back off. Anyway, that's all I have time for today, guys. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content, my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website, because it does cost a stream, run my site, all that good stuff. So you guys can support it. I very much appreciate you guys. You guys can check out different merch that's available on the website. Different t-shirts and mugs and so on. So go ahead and get that stuff. You guys can also check out a lot of my books that I have 18 books all together. And I will have my bigger book for pre-order very soon. I'll let you guys know when that drops. But in the meantime, you guys can get stuff like, of course, God is blatantly against abortion and other things that I have as well. I would have loved to debate Charlie Kirk on that issue. Again, I'm more to the right. I'm more of an abolitionist, I guess. I think anyone who, if we somehow got abortion to be illegal, then we should do criminal punishment, which he agrees with that. But I think it should be equal justice for anyone who doesn't. He thinks that women have been so brainwashed that they don't know that it's murder, which is interesting, because I've seen a lot of pro-choicers who debate online on TikTok celebrate his murder. So I think people are more into murder than you think, and are more okay with it than you think. But that's what happens when you get to pick and choose when life is valuable, instead of just respecting that it's inherently valuable. Anyway, dude, you got books you wrote? Yeah, I got lots of books. There's a link in the description that'll take you to an Amazon page where you can see my stuff. But yeah, I have 18 books that are all together, and Bigger is my newest book that will be going on pre-order soon, in probably like a day or two. Oh gosh, I gotta tell you guys this. I can't be live tomorrow. I got asked to sing at a Charlie Kirk vigil. So I'll be singing at a vigil in Michigan tomorrow. So I won't be live. So I will try to record early, I guess. I just can't be live because the traffic will be too bad, and they need me there a certain time. So I'm gonna sing 2 songs. One of the songs I'm gonna sing, it's called My Help. I sing it in church all the time. And then they called me back and they're like, hey, can you do another song? I was like, sure, I can do another song. So I was thinking about what other song I wanted to do. And then as I was riding the car yesterday, I started thinking about a song that I wrote when I was actually 12 years old called The Clay. And it's like, blinded, cannot find my way, weary, I cannot do this on my own. I need you to help me, to heal me, please. Tender, my heart's been broken. And I was just thinking about some of those lyrics. And I'm like, oh gosh, I could do my song. I should do my song. They're like, yeah, you could totally sing your song. But the chorus is like, for I am only clay, a lump of unholiness, not righteousness, focused on myself, too much of me. Come and rescue me, guide me and show me your will, your way, your truth, your light, please, Lord. Remove all the fear, make the path more clear. Hold me, mold me, cleanse me, make me whole, capture my soul, for you are the potter and I'm the clay. So that's a song, and it's just about wanting God to use you in a time where you kind of feel disconnected from him. So I've sung that song across the country. I've sung that song overseas in the Philippines to thousands of people, and it's touched a lot of people. So I'm praying that it really touches people tomorrow. So yeah, I can't be live. So I will, that doesn't mean I won't stream something. I just have to see if I can get the time to pre-record and then stream it live. But if I'm not reacting to your comments and stuff, that's why I won't be live tomorrow, but I'll be at the vigil. Anyway, thank you guys. And I'm going to go, be with my family. We're going to go, have some never ending possible, I guess. And, then we're going to go, see, Demon Slayer. So anyway, God bless you guys. And, I'll see you later.